Hello, everybody. We are live with two of your favorite people. They're two of my favorite people, so now they're going to become two of your favorite people. I was just talking with Mark and Crystal Hansen and didn't realize how much of a stalker I was of Mark's until I realized how many of his books I own. And that's just because I think he writes brilliantly. So I'm very excited to welcome Crystal and Mark to our show today. So we're going to go ahead and just get started right away without pause on our podcast. So here we go. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Lead Up for Women Speak Up to Lead Up. I am your host, Colleen Biggs, and I have a very special treat for you today. I am honored to be with the beautiful Crystal Hansen. Notice how I introduced her first, ladies first, as well as Mark Hansen, better known as Mark Victor Hansen, the author. But in the area of human potential, this was one of my favorite things I read of what you sent me, Mark, which was no one is better known and more respected than Mark Victor Hansen in the area of human potential. That is what I live and breathe for every day, is empowering women to be and live at their greatest potential. And they already have everything they need inside of them. And I love when Crystal said, it's really all about just helping them figure out how to tap into how awesome and great they are already, right?
That's right.
Because we're asking people to live up to their potential by finding their destiny with this book called Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. And our destiny is help everybody else find their destiny. And what's happened, Colleen, it's sort of amazing to us, is that people are going out and they're not buying one book, they're buying three, one for themselves and one for whoever their best friend is, their best friend, their spouse, their church mate, whatever it is. And then they're going at every question and they're unveiling what their destiny is, because so many people are afraid with COVID and lockdown and sequestration. They're shutting off the media, because that's one of the things we recommend in the book, and asking the questions of who am I, asking who am I, asking others, and then asking God. And it just is, it's an ever opening onion of wonder, or I should say an ever opening lotus flower of beauty. How's that?
Yes, absolutely it is. Now, give us a glimpse quickly. I was going to go back and have you take a journey with us, but I would love for you to give us a glimpse, because you talked about turning off the media. I recommend the same. I did so many shows and brought our members forward and women forward, talking about the silver linings of what the pandemic had given us as a gift and how we were going to take that gift and what we were going to do with it. Give us a glimpse, Mark and Crystal. What has your household looked like since March?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it's interesting, Colleen, because honestly, our offices are in our home anyway. When we came from California, we're now in Scottsdale. We sold our gigantic office building and realized that since we don't warehouse our own books anymore, it's all on Amazon. We just didn't need all of that space. We sold our office so fast we had to move out in a month. Came here in 2017 and decided, why not just work out of our homes, because we outsource so much of what we do. Mm-hmm. So we were already set up very well in our home. So life continued for us. And what was interesting was our book was set to release on April 28th. So basically right after the pandemic hit. And we had this really heart-to-heart discussion with our publisher and said, what are we going to do? So many books were being pushed back to the fall. And, we had that discussion, and then we were like, all of us agreed, no, let's not do it. We want to bring this out. And even our publisher said, this book is unique because it has a message that a lot of people are going to need to hear right now, because everyone is freaked out. And the only way forward is going to be, knowing how to ask the right questions at the right time in the right way. So, we dug in, and fortunately, podcasting has become so popular. And, so we canceled some huge live events. We had one event with 10,000 people coming live, and thousands of books were already sold, and all of those things got shut down. So it was really crazy. But we forged ahead, started getting on podcasts, started getting referred, and now we're just podcasting every day. So we feel like we're connecting with people as much as ever. It's just in a different way. So those are our days. Just this is our platform now. This is kind of our stage now, and we love it because we get to, connect with people like you who connect with other audiences. And so it's been really magical.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And what a blessing that God really led you down the path to create the book and write the book when you did, to have it ready. You know, I look at it based on the timing, and it's always on God's time. So, how interesting was that, that it was ready just at a time when the pandemic had hit, and this book was so well needed during that time for so many people to ask. I really do think that was quite divine intervention of timing on that. And so many can look at it so many different ways. Now, going all the way back, and I don't know when this was, Crystal, but I love to live a healthy lifestyle. I've been a personal trainer. I really believe in the emotional, the physical, the spiritual. Fitness of ourselves. So talk to me about your book Skinny Life. What inspired you to write that book when you did?
Right. You know, what I discovered with the clients that I was seeing, Colleen, is that weight issues are really like any other issue. Okay. Everything we become in our lives starts from the inside out. And so what I was seeing with people, and I would say the majority were women, is that even they had been on this roller coaster of diets and weight issues and problems their entire lives. But when we drill down, you know, into the deeper realms of their emotions and their thoughts, that they never really believed that that the fat person was gone. In some ways, they were waiting for the fat person to come out again, just sort of like hiding from it. Oh no, like when is it going to come out? I had clients who would actually save their fat clothes for when they, you know, got heavy again. So what I say, you know, you cannot have a fit, slim, healthy body without a fit, slim, healthy mind. No skinny, you know, a skinny mind equals a skinny body. And that's really what the skinny life is about. And it's about loving yourself all the way to fit, slim, and healthy. It's about making it your business to understand what it is that makes you fit. There's so much information out there. Like if we really wanted to do it, no one, you could just find out everything on your own. And I say, throw away your scales and stop counting calories, because none of that matters. I want you to learn to love the foods, but learn to love the foods that love you back. And so it's really about connection to yourself, connecting to that loving place where you're willing to do what it takes to love yourself to your best, fit, slim, and healthy, right? And make it your business to live this life and get rid of that fat identity forever. You know, and I take my clients through these deep, you know, guided visualization processes. You have to create it in your mind first. And most people have taken on a fat or a heavy identity. So the first thing we do is get rid of that identity. And the same thing for anything in life. When you start to question it, you go, why am I holding on to this? And that's why we wrote the book about asking, because when everything that you want to change in life starts with a reflective journey. And like Mark said, in the book, we say there are 3 channels through which to ask. And those are ask yourself, ask others, and ask God. And each of those channels is equally important. And it starts with that reflective journey of asking yourself, how did I get here? How do I feel about myself? What is not working? What are the lies that I'm telling myself? Or what are the things I'm telling myself, you know, that are they true? You know, right?
Absolutely. Thank you for taking us down that road and explaining that. And I want to ask you, Mark, I'm unconventional in my interviews. You should know that right now. Where did this come from? Where did this come from? Where did chicken soup for the soul come from? Where did chicken soup for the body and the soul come from? Where did this empire start? Why this book? What was going on in your life during this time when you wrote this book? Was this your first book you wrote, or was this just the first one that
That's
took off?
a wonderful question. No, the first book I wrote after I went bankrupt, I was speaking 1,000 times a year to little insurance audiences of 6 to 10 or 12 people. And they kept saying, do you have a story in a book? That's such a great story. Please give it in a book so my wife and kids can have it. So the first book I did was Stand Up, Speak Out, Win. And I sold literally 20,000 copies at $10 each to little audiences of 6, 10, or 12. Because everyone says, well, now you do big audiences. Well, and then Jack and I, after a few years later, are on the same program, don't know each other, have never met. but he's on early in the morning, and he'd sold like 250,000 copies of 101 Ways to Build Self-Esteem in the Classroom, and I sold 370,000 copies of Platform. No publisher would have me, of Dare to Win. And he comes up, I'm the last speaker, he was the first, and he comes up and says, I'm Jack Canfield. I said, Dr. Canfield, I'm a fan of yours for a long time. I love that you give the Golden Apple Award, humma humma. He said, can we have dinner? And he said, I've never seen anyone do stories. Would you teach me how to do it? And then we put them together and we said, okay, well, we'll do it as a book. And then we said, well, I don't like the title you got, Jack. So can we do the title thing? And we'll do a thought command where we did mega best song title, mega best song title, mega best song title. Same thing we're teaching and ask. You know, God, what's your destiny for me? God, what's your destiny for me? Right before you go to sleep, 400 times, a mega question to go deep and permeate, penetrate the inner space of your mind. And God in you will come out with that answer. And the title, Jack calls in the middle of the night, wakes up the whole house, is before cell phones, and says,
Right.
I thought, oh my God, the house on fire. One of the kids are in trouble somewhere. And said chicken soup. And I said, for the soul. I said, we got it. And then 144 publishers turned us down. Then our agent fired us. That was a coup de grace.
They were like, where did this title come from? That I love the ones that say it'll never stick, it's never gonna work, and you prove everybody wrong.
Well, you know, as a mommy, that chicken soup is what your mother and grandmother gave you to feel well when you're sick. And Jack and I were convinced the soul of America is in trouble. Now, we did not know the soul of the world was in trouble when, and as you said, we sold over 500 million books and we're still rocking. And my goal was outrageous. And that's why all those publishers turned us out, because I wrote somehow during my life, I'm going to live to be 127 with options for renewal. I will sell 1 billion books. And they all went, this guy's really, and he's hanging around a guy from Harvard that should know better. He's third in his class. God, Jack should be smart enough to know that nobody's ever sold 1 billion books, and you can't even selling a million's a big deal, but selling 500 million, that's crazy. You guys are nuts. It's not going to happen. Well, it's happened. And what we want to do is encourage everyone to live up to their full potential. Write down your full potential, mentally, physically, financially, so all of which we go through in the book, because everyone's got, Crystal loves to say, 4 times more potential, talent, skill, and abilities than we're using. And it only works when you ask yourself, back to the first question, what is it that I'm supposed to do? And when I was bankrupt, I said, I'm supposed to talk to people that care, the things that matter, that'll make a life-changing difference. And that was after I wanted to kill myself because I'd lost $2 million that fast. So, you know, we all need to live up to our potential, because if I hadn't been here, 1 billion people would not have been touched by all the stuff I've been able to write.
Right. So you were supposed to be here. So let's go back to that moment that you just talked about. Was that the pivotal moment in your life when
Totally
you went
correct,
bankrupt?
100%. When I went bankrupt so fast. It was my best, worst experience. It's sort of like Joseph's many color coat story. What you meant for my harm, God meant for my good. And I couldn't see it, you know, and that's why Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich says, adversity, and everybody needs to know this line and memorize it. There's a lot of lines you ought to memorize in life, but every adversity has a seed of equivalent or greater benefit. And going bankrupt, I never would have thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to become world's best-selling author, because I took remedial reading from 1st grade to 6th grade because my parents were illiterate Danish people, not stupid, very smart, but they didn't have English as a main language. We didn't have any books in the house. They were working 18 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's those pivotal moments that are the greatest gifts, you know, in our lives. And not only the greatest gift for you, but the greatest gift for millions and millions of lives that you've touched. You know, I just, single old me reads a book. I get an idea from your book. As on my personal development journey, I leave corporate, I start a company empowering women, which I've now been able to help hundreds and hundreds of businesses get launched for women, so they can go out in the world and share their genius, and they can show their human potential. And from one book, and I'm one person that changed. Do you see what the ripple effect that happens from these books and the work that all of us do in the world? And so knowing our potential, God put us here for a reason, and we each have a very unique gift that is not like another. So I'd like to ask you the question. You have been for 40 some years focusing on people and their human potential, and really solely helping those individuals. And through that work, you've written books and become an author, become a speaker, become so much more just from that single passion and purpose. What does it mean to you deep down, Mark, to serve people in that manner, to help them find their human potential?
First of all, thank you for the reflected glory of you reading the book and getting it, because obviously I read a lot of other, and everybody listening, I want, especially you ladies are historically better readers than men, right? I watch football, I didn't do that. Anyhow, I want everyone to read, right? I'm not opposed to football. That wasn't a slam.
Right.
The point I'm saying is that the zone you're in and the zone I write in, 312 books now, and Crystal and I are writing more books than ever and got lots of agreements and what we're going to go forward on with publishers, is that everybody needs to read some self-help action books. And like, because college graduation happens and high school graduation, that commencement means you're starting your education, not ending it. And obviously I write in that zone, but there's so many spectacular books that if you read that, it'll orient your life. And because she's a transformational life coach, it'll have every one of us transform into our higher powered full potential self. So we do get our way to our destiny by asking the right questions to the right people at the right time to get the right results right here and right now.
Mm-hmm. And what is our true destiny, Mark?
Okay, so the Bible says in the beginning, all the way through the beginning of Genesis up to 128, and it says, you and I are made in the image and likeness. Therefore, we got two things. We're here to create and we're here to contribute. Create and contribute, create and contribute. Our assumption is, it doesn't say can create until you become a millionaire or a 10 millionaire, whatever. Not a 55, 65, 72 and a half. No, you're supposed to, I said, I'm going to be 127 options for renewal. I'm halfway to one of my goals. And by the way, I got over 7,000 goals in writing, and there's only one other guy that's got more than me that I know of, and that's Dr. John DeMartini. And I love John. We talked yesterday. The point is, you and I are here to accomplish great, wonderful things and have a full-fledged, joyous life, repletely good.
Yeah, ladies, did you hear that? And I know there's gentlemen that are listening as well, but it really is up to us to pioneer our lives, and no one's coming to give you the permission to do that. You know, we need to give ourselves the permission, and if it's on your heart, if it's nagging at you, and that what you're doing is not living up to your fullest potential. And we're all a work in progress. So we're all working day by day by day to get there. And we're here to contribute and create, just as Mark said. I love the way you said that. So I wanted to ask another question to both of you, either one of you that is wanting to answer this. What's next for you guys? So you wrote the book Ask. This is the book that you're promoting right now. What is next? I know you said you have like 7,000 goals, so you've got bucket lists longer than most have them, and we should all have goals and live our lives to achieve those goals, because without them, we're just standing in the same place and going around in a circle. We're really not moving ourselves forward. So what's next for the two of you? You feel so fulfilled, right? I feel the energy. You're both so happy and so fulfilled in what you're doing. Where do you want to go from here?
One of our first goals, now that we've written the book Ask, because we really poured our hearts and souls into this, we don't have to work. If we just, we don't have to work another day in our lives. But when we have something like this that we feel like is so important to share, we were determined to get it out to the world, and we took a lot of time to do this. The book was so important to us. It was like our baby, and because we knew this message is so important. So that goal right now is to reach at least 1 million people. We know we're going to do it. Don't know exactly how long it's going to take to do that, but we know that if we reach 1 million people with this asking message and get 1 million people to become master askers in their own lives, that is going to transcend those 1 million people and ripple out to many millions more. And in that way, so many people can be transformed, because there's so much that starts to happen when you start asking yourself, asking others, and ask God. That is truly the way that you reach your full potential, that you bring those dreams in your heart out into your destiny journey and reach that ultimate destiny that is waiting for you, is out there for you. That's our first goal. We also are going to elaborate the book because there's so much. I mean, we could spend 4 hours talking about the book. There's so much content. There's so much to learn. So we decided we're going to do some master courses in asking. Super excited about that. We've had people come to us and say, can you please put this in a course? Can I be a coach? Because this book has changed my life more than any book. We've had tons of podcasters say that. So, and just individual listeners. So we want to do that. We want to honor that. If they're being that touched by this movement, then we need to facilitate that as well. So we're super excited about this whole journey. We also are involved with child help. We've helped 1 million kids get out of, child abuse. That work continues on, and we're chairman of the 60th campaign. So it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. We're never going to let that go. We're never going to stop making sure we're doing all we can to help these children who don't have a voice for themselves. And, we just want to reach the world. We miss being able to get on a plane and go anywhere in the world and touch audiences around the world, but we'll get back to that. Mm-hmm. And we love the idea that we can connect the world through these conversations, and even through a book, because you create a community of people. You create a community of what we're creating now is a community of askers. And so, just empowering people in that way to come together, because the whole circle of asking is being a good asker, but then also being a granter of wishes. And we talk about that in the book, being that person on the other side who gives the gift to them, others and themselves, by saying, yes, I can help you with that. I can grant your wish today. And there's something so beautiful about that. When you, as a human being, that is what feeds us. So learning to be a good asker and also learning to be a granter of wishes.
Yeah. And the pandemic has really given us the opportunity for so many people to step up and lead.
Yep.
And step out of the shadows and ask. I'm a huge fan of your book, The Bridge from Dreams to Your Destiny, and Granting Wishes. It's amazing. Thank you so much for your work with children and being a steward and a leader and the light for them. Thank you so much for all that you do there. And I just wanted to close by asking you each a question. What is it that you want others to remember you by? When you've gone to be with God, what do you want us to remember you by?
At the moment, because of ask, we'd say, look, we've got 7 roadblocks to asking. And what we want people to do is be able to overcome every one of those hurdles with asking. And they are little things like sense of self-worth, because most people have a sense of unworthiness, and we're showing how to get out of that. Most people have a sense of fear right now and foreboding, and we're saying, hey, look, we can show you how to ask your way above, over, under, around. Next is doubt, right? Next is excusology. Next is naivete, and she's got a great story about that if we have time to do it. And then disconnection, because people get disconnected at a multiplicity of levels. We talk about some in the book, and then we think so many kids, because we've got 5 kids and 6 grandkids, that it breaks our heart that so many people are not only disconnected, but disenchanted and disenfranchised at a sovereignty level of their own soul and mind and heart and physical being, like we started talking. So we just want to wake up the whole world to become master askers. And we're asking everyone to look, don't get 1 book, now get 3. Get 1 for you and whoever you're going to go through every question with. And then, so that's 2 books. And then the 3rd one, give to a library, because libraries are broke right now, and they're broken. And every library is saying to us, we want a library, but nobody can afford to do it. So I'm going, well, I've been asking. And last night, like one little podcast we were on, like 60 people immediately bought one for themselves, a friend, and then a library. And it's sort of an amazing ripple effect, like you said, because we got to ask, what is our full potential, and ask our way out of this to fulfill our own destiny, because everyone was encoded at birth, we believe, or while you were in the womb, and by God, to fulfill a destiny. You've got an assignment, and it's your assignment to find your assignment.
That's so true. And I'm going to ask everyone who's listening today, and we'll continue to listen, and we'll have this available to them to buy a book. This is a great time of year. I'm going to buy one for all my clients. I really do. This is a great opportunity for everyone to buy a book, donate them to the libraries, or even the little libraries you may have in your communities, for people to borrow books, and bring another book back. It's just a great opportunity to spread the cheer, and spread the ask, right? How many of us don't ask? Now, Crystal, he intrigued me with that story. So you have to share the story that he was just talking about.
Okay.
Naivete.
Oh, the naivete. Oh, yeah. It's a great story because it goes back to that, we're all born as children with this beautiful ability to ask. We're unashamed, we're uncorrupted. And we want to know everything as children. We want to know who, what, when, where, why, how. And we also are not afraid to ask for more. That's the human spirit stabbing at us, going, let's grow, let's evolve. And over time, depending on how we were parented, our jobs, just work, life, rejection itself, that gets crushed out of us. And so it's so important to bring that to life. But one of the roadblocks that Mark was talking about was naivete. And the story I wrote about in the book, when my girls were very little, I had two daughters, 16 months apart, crazy time. So we had this beautiful Filipino woman who worked for us, and she would come and cook like these wonderful dishes from her homeland for us. We loved her so much. And one day she showed up with this fruit and cut it up on a plate and said, "Here, Crystal, try this. Have you ever had this?" I was like, "No, what is that?" It was this juicy orange fruit. So I bit into it and I go, "Melda, this is the best fruit I've ever tasted. What is this?" She goes, "It's a mango." And I go, "A mango? How is it that I've never tried a mango before?" I thought I was so worldly at the time. I traveled all through Europe many, many times, been around the world, but I never had a mango. I was totally naive to mangoes because I grew up in Idaho where we had potatoes and no mangoes. But it made me think, how did I miss this? I go, where did you get this? Thinking she imported it from the Philippines. And she goes, "At the grocery store." And I thought, how is it that I pass this at the grocery store every day, right? Or not every day, but when I go to the grocery, pass it every time. What else am I missing in life? Because I'm naive. I just haven't had the life experience, the world experience that allows me to even know or wonder what that is. And what other people am I passing every day? Just because I'm naive, that person could be the best friend I've ever had, the best business partner, maybe an advocate, or maybe I could advocate for this person. Maybe I could change their life. And what other things am I missing? What opportunities am I missing? It made me realize how naive I am and how really naive we all are, as we're limited to our own experience, So just getting back to that childlike curiosity and wonder, that we need to open that up again and start living in that wonder, start asking more about everything, because that's part of this asking journey. And when you do that, life expands, life becomes so much more rich if you're willing to take the journey and ask those questions.
Absolutely. I wondered when I saw that you lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, I wonder how many restaurants we have eaten in together that you've been in at the same time I've been in. I've probably eaten in every restaurant in Scottsdale at some time. And I'm sure you were present at one of those restaurants at the time I was in there. And I always could have just come over to say hi. So
yeah, we could just wonder about each other. Yeah. And say,
wonder.
Yeah, wonder and ask a question. Hi, what do you, that sort of thing. And it's like, life is so magical when you live it that way, in wonder and in questions, and just being willing to take that asking journey.
So
once you meet somebody like now we've met on this great podcast, chance of you resynchronizing in time and space is fourfold increase, and we'll now recognize each other and introduce each other to whomever we're with, because, well, we love eating alone. Seldom does that happen, just because there's so many cool people that we love to be with.
Right. Absolutely. I feel the same way. Now that you mentioned children, we must talk about families, because my husband and I have 7 kids and 11 grandkids, and our youngest one still isn't even married yet. He just graduated from ASU in mechanical engineering during the pandemic. So don't you just love those grandkids? I mean, come on. It is why we had children.
It's true. It's a little secret. Don't tell the kids, but no, they are so magical. But you know what? It's because we're different. We're in a different place. We've been through all this. The pressure is off. You know, it's not everything, the buck doesn't just stop with us anymore, you know. So you get to love those little grandchildren, and you are allowed to be their best friend, which you could not be when you were raising your kids. So we love being Mimi and Grampy best friends to
Yeah.
our
And let me just say that we started our book 2 years ago. We're in Hawaii when you could still do that kind of trip. And we own a little company that's a natural power concepts in Hawaii. So we're really keen on pop-up windmills and all kinds of, we're a device company for alternative, sustainable, clean, green energy. Anyhow, we're there on vacation and a little bit of work at Christmas time. And all of a sudden we get, it's a couple of days after Christmas, and we get a telephone call on what you call a gizmo watch. You and I called it Dick Tracy watch. You talked about
Yeah.
and our little 6-year-old grandson at the time, Everett, who's totally precocious, who lives down by you in Gilbert, actually, but he calls up and he can only call his grandparents and his parents. That's it. So, you know, I see it, it says Gizmo in my cell phone, and I go, okay, I know who this is. So I answer it, and he says, Grampy, are you alone? I said, no, I'm with Mimi. He said, can I talk to you alone? I said, son, I told you can talk to me 24/7, 365 for the rest of your life. There's nobody more important to us than our loving grandkids. He says, you know those books you write? I said, yes. He said, are you still writing books? I said, yes. He said, I got a big question. I said, what's that, son? He said, can I write that with you and Mimi? And I looked at her and she was listening, and I go, absolutely. So the first story we have in there, and it is,
so
yes, he's yes, our grandkids are precocious. Yes, he's a good reader. And what it did, it opened up all kinds of stuff, because he's already reading omnivorously, and he's reading at a 5th grade level, even though when he was in kindergarten. And because obviously we push that in our home, and he's inspiring other kids to read, and he's already starting to write his own books. And we're going, this is so wonderful, just because the two of us are allowed to facilitate that and help him find part of his destiny. Now, I think he'd be a great basketball player and a great leader. And he's such a magnificent kid.
They're so inquisitive and they ask so many questions. And, you know, as parents, when we were younger, it feels like we didn't have the patience we have today. And you watch your children with them now, and our grandkids are asking why, mom, tell me that, you know, they're kind of brushing them off, like just trying to answer the questions. And I'm sitting there like, come on, I'll sit down and talk to you about why, because I have the patience now, so I can do this all night long, where I know your mom and dad are like, all they do is just ask questions all day long. And I love that mind. Their mind is growing so fast, and children have mastered asking. They have mastered asking.
That's right.
We take them on, first of all, they have sleepovers at least once a month, but we also took them, just the 3 of the grandkids that live here, and we got 3 in California, but up to Flagstaff with us, and they could ask every question. When they weren't asking questions, we have games like Scrabble and that in the car, so that would wake them up, and then we'd talk to them about what signage meant, what people meant.
Road bingo.
Yeah, and if you've never played Road Bingo, it's not a game we created, but it is a wonderful game.
So fun. And I think my favorite thing, little AV, one of my grandsons, the favorite thing he'll say is, Grandma, you're my best friend.
Oh, isn't that the sweetest?
It just melts my heart. And then my husband will say, wait, AV, you said Papa was your best friend. How can Grandma and Papa be? He's like, Papa, you and Grandma are my best friend.
Oh, nothing better. Nothing
No.
better.
My colleague, Zig Ziglar used to say, if I knew how much I love the grandkids, I would have been better to the kids.
Right? Hindsight's always 20/20 when we look at it, isn't it? It always is. Well, I want to thank both of you. You are absolute beautiful souls. I know that our paths have crossed sometime before, because I feel at home with you. Your energy, your souls are just so kind and so generous and so loving. I could talk to you for hours. And of course, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I'm going to encourage all of our listeners, all the ladies that I work with, to get out there and purchase your book, Ask. Get more than just purchase it for ourselves, purchase it for a loved one, because that is giving the best gift, right? Giving them the gift to ask. And by us leading, by example, and standing in our authenticity of really who we are, isn't that the most wonderful gift that we give others around us, the permission to just be the best them and who they are, and that's really, I just feel that the two of you allow space for those around you just to show up exactly as who they are, and their best selves, no matter what that looks like. So thank you for your leadership and your stewardship on that. It's a blessing to have the time to speak with both of you today. So we're definitely going out and getting that book. So thank you so much for that. And I want to thank both of you for joining me today and allowing our listeners to get to know you a little bit more today and get a glimpse into your life and what you have as your next steps, and what you want to be remembered by, of course, because we always want to be remembered by something. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us today. And remember, ladies, you are the only you that has ever been, and you are the only you that will ever be. So how you pioneer your future, it really is up to you. So be the best you and be strong. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you to Crystal and Mark for joining us today. And I'm going to ask that we all go out and get the book, Ask, and give it to a friend for the holiday. Have a wonderful holiday, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye for now.